What's going on YouTube? So sitting at the entry point of the Lexus lineup is the UX, aka the urban crossover.
And Lexus has been making updates to this product for many years, but this year brings one of the most important updates yet.
So, what's new for the most affordable Lexus? Well, let's go ahead and find out. All right, let's start things off with our spec dump as always. So under the hood, we're gonna find a significant improvement. We have a new hybrid system called 300H, which is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine and hybrid system making 196 horsepower. That's paired to an eCVT, and the all-wheel drive model comes in at 42 mpg combined.
Now the base price of the UX is $37,000 this year, and if you're looking to buy a UX or any vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now we're also going to be taking this vehicle out for a spin to see what this powertrain is like out on the road. While we're on that spin, we'll get things like our sound level reading.
But first, let's go ahead and close up the hood so we can take a look at the exterior design as well as the interior. Now, like I said, this is the entry point into the Lexus crossover lineup, and I'm happy to report that it still does have those signature design elements shared with the more expensive offerings like the RX and NX. So up in the front, you'll notice you have that prominent spindle grille. There are going to be a couple different finishes on board. This is the premium trim level, but if you get an F Sport, everything up here is going to look a little bit more aggressive and have some blacked out elements. Let's also talk about our headlights. Of course, you have standard full LED headlights, as you would expect. You have the signature daytime running light shaped like an arrowhead as well. Just be aware that the turn signal indicator is incandescent. And then down below, you have a spot down here where there is a fog light if you choose an F Sport model. And then moving around to the back, of course, this is a small crossover, and you can tell that.
Yeah, and as far as overall design changes, not much has changed this year. So we're going to have that signature design. We have a wiper right here, a spoiler up top, and then we have the full-length LED taillight. That's kind of a signature for the Lexus brand at this point. And Drew's hopping inside so we can check and see if every element is LED. We have an LED brake light portion, LED amber turn signal, and then our reverse light is actually integrated down here in the very bottom. That's also going to be LED. Now, as far as the lower fascia, you can get a more aggressive one if you choose the F Sport models. However, this is just a standard variation. It's going to be finished in a lot of matte black.
Now you might have noticed this very bold color that really stands out. This is the Lexus signature copper crest color. It's been proliferating across their lineup, and now it's made its way to their most affordable offering. And as you can see, it really makes this product stand out, new for 2025. Coming down here to our wheels, you have 18-inch alloys standard across all UX models. You can get a couple different designs if you prefer a darker finish or a contrast design. And then come up here to our mirrors. We've got a nice gloss black finish on board. Of course, you are going to have heating and blind spot monitoring as well.
Now at this side of the UX, here is where you will notice that this is a small SUV. It's about 176.9 inches in overall length, and it's also going to be quite a bit shorter than any of the other Lexus SUVs. However, they do have some nice roof rails up top to kind of spice up your overall design. Now, one of the things I'm really happy to tell you about the UX is that even though this is the most affordable Lexus SUV, you're going to get every safety system as standard equipment, and that's even going to include things like adaptive cruise control. But guys, there have been a few updates on the inside that we need to talk about, so let's dive into that. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars. All right, now it's time to get inside the vehicle. Here's our key fob. First of all, typical Lexus key fob. You do have a smart entry system as standard equipment. And just reach behind the handle to unlock the door. Now, as we look inside the interior, you're going to notice, just like with the exterior, there's a lot of common elements with the more expensive Lexus crossovers. Let's start off by talking about our seats though. So you'll have a standard New Lux, which is a faux leather across the entire lineup. You got a lot of different choices that you can choose from depending on which trim you pick. We have kind of the more luxurious look to this model. As far as the seats themselves, they're 8-way power adjusting. You have 2-way lumbar support, and if you get an F-Sport model, the seats will be more bolstered. Good feel to this quality here, and I like the stitching details as well. Let's go ahead and climb inside. And now that we're inside, let's go ahead and look at the cab materials. Over here on our door trim, we have a matching leatherette to the seats and a soft touch plastic through the rest of it. As you go to the upper dash, this is all finished in a soft touch plastic. You have kind of this pad going through here of a rubber-like material. You can get some other types of more interesting trims on the other trim levels, and then a soft touch plastic through here. But as we go down to the lower areas, this will all be a hard touch plastic and kind of just a basic silver plastic, considering this is the most affordable Lexus product. Let's go ahead and fire it up with the push button start. Now that it's fired up, let's get into one of the most important interior changes, I think, and that's the fact that we've moved to a new full digital gauge cluster on the vast majority of trim levels. So long as you choose anything except for that very base model, that's going to get you this new 12.3-inch full digital cluster. Like other Toyota and Lexus products, this is going to be reconfigurable, so you can change all these different elements of the design. Also, you can get a head-up display that's optional across the lineup. We do have it on today's example. It's a very large head-up display, which has a lot of useful information that we've enjoyed. Now, as we pull back to the steering wheel, we've got a nice leather-wrapped wheel. It is power, tilt, and telescoping, which is very surprising in this segment. Most don't offer that at all. And we also have rain-sensing wipers. The steering wheel itself has available heating. And let's go ahead and take a look at interior storage. Now, this is a small crossover, but you actually have pretty good storage up here in the front. We'll open this up first of all, and you'll notice inside we have some donuts. That's because here at Car Confections, we put stuffed donuts inside to check the volume. And today we have 8 donuts inside of this center console, so it doesn't quite pass the dozen donut test, but it is decent for this segment. As we move in front of that, you have 2 cup holders, and then you also have a wireless phone charging pad, which is an available option, and then you've got your 2 USB connections right above that. Coming back to the shifter, you've got the same electronic style shifter that most Lexus products have. You're just going to pull to the side and back for drive, go the opposite way for reverse. When you go into reverse, here is your backup camera. This is actually the only backup camera you can get, since a 360 camera is not available on this product. But as you can see, you do have active trajectory. Just press that P right there for park. You also have an electronic parking brake with brake hold. Now, I'm sure you also noticed a panel of buttons next to the shifter. These are, of course, for your heated and ventilated seats. Both of those things are available pretty much across the entire lineup, besides for the base trim level, and they're automatic. That's also where you turn on and off your heated steering wheel. Now, as far as the rest of the climate controls, it's a dual zone automatic setup, so you can very easily make your adjustments with these nice physical controls right through there. Speaking of physical controls, we have a physical volume knob for our audio system. So standard on most models is a 6-speaker sound system. You can upgrade to the top trims, which can give you a 10-speaker sound system, but we'll go ahead and give the 6-speaker one a sample. Yeah, so overall sound quality is not bad. Even though there are only 6 speakers, the cabin, of course, is pretty small, so it does fill up the space pretty nicely. Okay, let's zero in here on our main infotainment screen. So you'll notice that this is pretty large. That's because this premium we're testing today has the available 12.3-inch display. What is standard is an 8-inch display. As such, you can see you've got a very large screen there with good graphics. It does have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay no matter which of the 2 screens that you select as well. And then if I toggle back into the main Lexus UX, you could make that joke because this is our user interface for this. As you can see, nice and responsive. You have built-in navigation as well. Up top here, we've got an auto-dimming mirror with our HomeLink universal remotes. And then I can press that button right there. That will open up our power sunroof. You don't have a panoramic option, but this standard size unit is standard on all but the base model.
Now let's talk about the rear seat area of this Lexus UX. Now I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that if you're going to be frequently using these rear seats, this is not a strong suit for this vehicle. It's going to be pretty small back here, especially for adults. Now that's not to say it's not usable, because you do still have a usable amount of space, about 33 inches of legroom and 36 inches of headroom. So like I said, not awful, but also definitely not as big as most of the other options that you can get. Now, I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and we are looking at about 4 inches of additional knee room. My feet can slide up underneath of the seat, so that's nice. And then as far as features are concerned, we are going to have standard vents, as you would expect, and we also are going to have some USB-C ports as well. And as far as other features, we can fold down the center armrest. That's going to give us 2 cup holders inside, and it's a good thing that we have cup holders in there, because otherwise we wouldn't have anywhere to put our drinks, because in the door there is actually no storage at all. So it's just going to be a solid door. It is made of decently nice materials, though. You have some hard touch on the upper part and a little bit of leatherette on the armrest portion. Other things worth noting, heated rear seats are not available on the UX, as well as these seats do not have the ability to recline. Now, walking up to the UX's tailgate area, we have an optional power tailgate with kick abilities, and let's see how much space you're going to find back here. Now, it's once again not going to be a lot. In the grand scheme of things, you're looking at about 17 cubic feet behind the second row of seats, and 40 cubic feet with those seats folded down. So once again, not that big when it comes to space. Now, in order to fold the seats, they do fold 60-40 split, so you can just reach up here and do that pretty easy, even if you're a shorter individual. And this is a Car Confections review after all. And one of the things that we always do in our reviews is we get our cargo length, width, and height figures to see just how much length and height you can get. As far as length, that's 65 inches. That's not bad. From Drew's 5'8" driving position. From behind the second row, 29 inches of length. Overall width is about 38 inches wide. Now, the thing that's really not great is the height. It's going to be 21 inches tall, which is honestly not much better than most sedans, so keep that in mind. If I lift up the floor, you'll find a little bit of extra space down here, and then if we lift this part up, you'll find even more space. Here we are behind the wheel of the Lexus UX. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a few different things. As you can see on the screen right now, we'll also be getting things like our sound level reading. But first, let's go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
And there's 60. Really feel all that power.
It is a very big upgrade this year, that's for sure.
Yeah, so it is not, the most powerful thing out there, that's for sure, but this is a big improvement over what we had previously. So as far as how the development of the UX has been over the years, you used to have a gas powertrain, which was extremely slow, as in probably the slowest luxury vehicle that we have ever driven. Then you had a hybrid version, which was a little bit faster, and now we've got just this hybrid 300H, which signifies the switch to the 5th generation Lexus hybrid system. So this is going to be the same kind of system that we have in our Camry as well as the Prius, and it's a big improvement overall because we have more powerful electric motors. Horsepower moves up 15 horsepower, and also you shave about a half a second off that 0 to 60.
Yep, so overall power, you're going to be sitting with a 2-liter, 4-cylinder engine, electric componentry, 196 horsepower on this. Pretty good numbers. It still goes 0 to 60 in 8 seconds, so it's not going to be super fast or anything, but I do definitely think that is a big improvement. It's something that you will feel if you've been in a previous UX. Going to this new one, it just doesn't feel so painfully slow, that's for sure.
Right. It doesn't sound like that would make a big difference, but believe me, out on the street, this is the difference between like easily keeping up with traffic and then feeling like you're always behind, which we did have that experience in the previous model. Now, as far as the other element of the powertrain, you've got an eCVT. You also have standard front-wheel drive or available all-wheel drive, and depending on which one you choose, that will kind of just designate which layout you get. So you either have 2 electric motors or 3 electric motors with all-wheel drive.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and mention fuel economy as well, because that's a highlight, actually. We just mentioned that you get quite a bit of a power increase, and it feels a lot better out on the road, but you're also going to get a fuel economy increase by switching to this new 5th-gen hybrid system as well. So we're sitting at 43 miles per gallon combined with the front-wheel drive version, or 42 miles per gallon combined with all-wheel drive. That's what we have today. Now, we did actually have the opportunity to spend an entire week with this vehicle, and we want to provide you with those real-world impressions. Unfortunately, at the time of this filming, we had to film it a little bit out of order. There's a giant snowstorm coming, so we had to do it a little bit earlier. So we'll just go ahead and insert a picture after we complete our week long of driving, and you can see the real-world fuel economy for this UX. All right, but we're speeding up to 55 miles per hour so we can get our official Kentucky sound level reading. .9 decibels was what we were sitting at before this red light tried to ruin our sound level reading, but I already got it. 54.9, that's actually quite a good sound level reading. We don't have to sit here and guess, though. We can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings and see how this compares against all of its rivals. And as far as how that does compare against the rivals, previously the UX 250H actually was the quietest option in the entire segment that we tested out, and that's just gonna, it is a little bit louder than that previous reading that we got, but it's still going to be as one of the quietest luxury subcompacts you can get, and I think that's, backed up just by sitting in here. It feels very quiet inside this cabin and very Lexus-like.
Yeah, and I also think that the hybrid system itself is quieter and more refined than it was before. It just sounds less strained. So that was a 0 to 60 from a stop there, in the sport mode as well.
Not that bad.
Not too bad. And speaking of sport, as I kind of go around some corners here, I'm reminded that this is a very small little tossable guy. Of course, it's not really designed to be super sporty, but it has a nice agility to it just because of the small size, and the steering also is very nice and responsive. As soon as you turn off center, you get that immediate response, so I certainly like that. Furthermore, you can always choose to get the F-Sport handling model, and that is going to give you extra enhancements to give you a little bit more of a performance edge, although I would never say that this is a sporty vehicle per se, but it does help things out.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also going to change some of the suspension tuning as well if you choose that handling model. Now, it is worth noting, if you're not familiar with what Lexus has been doing recently, there are 2 different versions of the F-Sport. You have the F-Sport Design, which is just the design, no suspension changes, and then the handling, which actually does add that extra layer of performance. All right, but we need to discuss overall ride quality for the UX. Now, when it comes to luxury subcompacts, a lot of times they can suffer from not so great ride quality, and the reason for that is just because, they're the cheapest option in the entire, brand's portfolio. The UX, I don't think you're going to have any issues with the overall ride quality. I actually think it's really quite good. The ride quality does a good job of soaking up the bumps. And really the thing I notice more than the exceptionally good ride is these exceptionally comfortable seats. These are really fantastic seats. So if you're, curious as to you're going to get cheap, disgusting seats, these are pretty much straight out of like what a Lexus RX feels like. So I think you're going to be very happy with the overall comfort of this vehicle. That's one of its strongest characteristics, if you ask me. But let's go ahead and dive into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball, which is our favorite element and least favorite element. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the Slam Dunk?
I think the Slam Dunk is very obvious. It's got to be the 5th gen hybrid system for 2025. Really a big improvement across the board. There's nothing to complain about with getting more power and better fuel economy, right?
Right. Now, on the Airball side of things, what we're going to say is really just the fact that the Toyota Prius exists. We've spent pretty extensive time with the Toyota Prius, and that vehicle is actually so good that I think it honestly leaves a little bit of a question mark as to why you would need this Lexus UX over the Prius, because it's just really that good, and you're getting like the exact same powertrain components as well. So just something to keep in mind.
More space.
Yeah, and more space. Lastly, as far as other things worth mentioning, I do want to point out that you do have a very small fuel tank size. It's only about 10.6 gallons. So that's something worth considering if you're going to do a lot of highway driving where the hybrid system isn't going to be quite as efficient. You're only going to have about 330 or so miles of range on a full tank of gas. So keep that in mind. And as far as your warranty is concerned, you're going to have a Lexus Signature warranty, which is a 4-year, 50,000 mile basic, 6-year, 70,000 mile powertrain, and you do also have a hybrid specific warranty as well. But pricing is an important part of any vehicle, and especially one in this segment. So let's talk about that. We start at $37,515 for the base model with front-wheel drive. So that's a pretty affordable price point for a luxury brand. As we move up the trim structure, you end at the F Sport handling. That's $45,980 with front-wheel drive. Now, as far as this model, as tested today, we're sitting at around $46,000 with this premium all-wheel drive and some options. Now, if you're looking to buy a Lexus UX or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation and can help the dealerships compete on pricing. We also even have a monthly payment tool if you're interested in checking that out. We have a pinned comment at the top of this video as well as a link in our video description. But buying a car is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Lexus UX's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 53.8% of original MSRP, which is a very good resale value for a luxury brand. It's actually the #1 rated luxury brand, although it is going to be less than some of the other mainstream options that you could look at, like a Toyota or Honda.
Now, we've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies on reliability from trustworthy sources and combines them in a way that paints a more holistic picture. In this regard, Lexus is rated, of course, above average. It is also the highest rated luxury brand.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale value or reliability data, as well as our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the 2025 Lexus UX. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which we hope you did, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to get the latest car reviews such as this, and you're also going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.